Good evening, everybody. We're going to call our meeting to order.
I've sent it to him.
If everybody would please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome. We do have a quorum to approve the minutes. We have a motion.
I move to approve them.
Second.
Okay, minutes approved. Let's introduce anybody who's here. Adam.
Hi, I'm Adam. I do the live stream. It's really bad.
Jansen Robinson, I'm the co-chair and I represent the Edgewood community on this council.
Hi, I'm Gloria Moon. I kind of do your zoning legislation stuff. So it's the start of a new year.
Yes, and she is the person I rely on to send out all of the emails. All the things that you get by email is Gloria, and so I can't thank her enough. I'm Paula Molis, I'm your chair.
Hi, I'm Melissa DeRisca, Edgewood Community Representative, all things community, education. I'm sitting on the board for that.
Yeah. Okay, so it's up to Philip Pelzer.
Hello, everybody. We'll get started here. It's calls for service for September. And animal complaints, 83. Total crashes, there's a 22% change, but we discussed about MSP and 95, how that goes effect. Let's see, no reported homicides, no reported rapes, 2 reported robberies, only 4 assaults reported compared to 12 from last year. Even with burglaries, 2 and 2. Thefts are up 24%, and auto thefts are up to 9 for this during this time. So 125% increase on that. I feel like somebody's going to have a question about Edgewood High School from Friday. Does anybody have any question regarding what happened? The Joppatowne High School and Edgewood High School football game, they're normally pretty eventful before, during, and after the games. This was, we kind of prepared, for it. We had approximately 12 deputies assigned to that game in the area, as well as physically at the school complex. There was an earlier incident that day at Joppatowne High School where a fight broke out. I will tell you that this incident was isolated in the fact that it was not a random act of violence. It wasn't like I think what people think, a school shooting. It was between 2 groups, and it was isolated to those 2 groups, though it did break out with, I don't know how many parents, students, cheerleaders, all that out in the parking lot when it broke out. Fortunately, we were able to capture 2 suspects and recover a firearm from that incident. Does anybody have any, that's kind of like an overview. I mean, I really can't go too into deep detail, but.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was the firearm discharged?
Yes, there was multiple shots fired in the parking lot. So, fortunately, again, our deputies were there. I was really proud of our guys. We captured it on body cam because they were dealing with an unrelated incident from this. So their body cams were all activated when it occurred. So we did capture the gunfire on body cam, and I was really proud of the the guys and girls that were working, because they went directly to the gunfire
But shots fired down to the air.
at each other.
Oh, okay,
At
thanks.
each other. Yes, sir.
When I was here last month, we had just recently had a shooting in Joppatowne. And one of the things that I brought up was the fact that we did not have our alert system where there was a shooting in the area. We didn't get a call about that. We had gotten a call about the fact that there was a suspicious package in Bel Air, just the same way I get calls when the Bel Air Christmas parade is canceled, but not calls about active shootings in our neighborhood.
Right.
Is there a reason that the active alert wasn't used again?
I don't know.
This is the second
I know-
shooting in a row in
I know it was like
Joppatowne,
actually
I think.
brought up though, what's called the reverse 911. I don't know. The one thing that we didn't use, which wasn't needed, was for reunification for parents and students. We had that handled pretty quickly. But I will, again, I'm running this debrief
I
for
understand
this
that.
one, so that I will literally move that up.
Yeah.
Because I agree. I think it's
Yeah, I just
another
feel like,
important
you know,
topic.
it certainly raises to the level of the cancellation of a Christmas parade. I mean, in my view.
Sure. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
How were the students punished?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how the school's handling,
Oh,
what
the
they're handling.
The school handled it, but the sheriff's department did not. Is that correct?
This wasn't related to the school. Like,
Okay.
this wasn't like students or anything like that. It was just, this was an after event at the football game. So I know what you're saying, like, those weren't students.
Oh, they weren't
They
students?
weren't
No.
students.
They were arrested.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they caught everybody?
We caught two of
Okay.
one of the groups. And recovered a firearm from it.
Getting scary, folks.
Yeah. Been serious.
But again, it was, yes, sir.
Oh, no, it's gonna be a different topic, so go
Yeah,
ahead.
it was isolated between those groups, though it did happen in the public. It was not random acts to create like a mass casualty event. It was what I think most of us think of a school shooting, a hatred shooting.
6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago, I had made a request to see if you guys could step up your enforcement on people who litter by just writing simply a couple tickets a month. And I came every month for several months and asked, and I haven't seen any written. I didn't say anything last month because of the shooting. This month it feels inappropriate because of the shooting. But it has been something that I've been asking for 6 months. I'd like to know, in the last 6 months, has the sheriff's department written any tickets for anyone throwing litter out of their car or pulling over a truck or someone that's dropping? Because our communities are littered constantly, which brings down a lot of the
I
things.
agree with that.
So-
I will look that number up for you.
Okay.
And I can give you that number.
Thanks.
Again, that's like an observed event, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta be there when it happens.
I
for
can tell
sure.
you now, that was a major pet peeve of mine, and I will tell this entire room, I got in trouble for literally picking garbage back up and putting it back in the vehicle that I pulled over. They took the Wendy's bag and like put it out at an intersection.
Right.
I pulled up next to it, picked the Wendy's bag up, and, it wasn't the most appropriate way to handle it, but it,
Point cross.
so yes, I will look that number up for you.
Thanks. And I'm not asking you to do more work.
No,
I would just
you
say,
want the
hey,
number.
you write
I got it.
30 speeding tickets a month, write 27 and do 3 of these. Because I think if the word got out there and if people got fined $500, $1,000, we got all these signs that say we're going to fine you this tremendous amount of money. And I don't know anyone who's gotten a ticket, ever.
I'm just emailing myself to look.
Thank you so much.
No
Appreciate
problem,
it.
sir.
It's like we need a camera right at the light at Joppa and
we-
Route 40 where they stop their cars and dump the stuff right
They
out.
do it down there too.
We could get into a bunch of politics. I haven't seen anybody pulled over for cell phone use since the first week. And I see 30% of the people I pass on the road have a cell phone in their hand.
There's an
But
empty
anyway.
seat up here, right next to the gentleman who's speaking is an empty seat.
He's not a nice guy. You probably don't want to sit.
Don't hurt her.
This meeting, we had talked about last month rescheduling it because we had a conflict. The county government scheduled a public hearing at the same time, and I heard that we weren't able to find another day in the rest of October that we could hold this meeting in this room. Is this room really utilized that much?
No, we could have gotten next Tuesday.
Okay.
We couldn't do Monday, there's another meeting on Monday, but I thought if we changed the date, then we changed the date,
Oh,
we'd get
okay.
everybody really messed up.
And then you still can't have the council people here
Yeah,
because
because
it's,
they meet on
yeah.
Tuesday, so
Okay.
if, yeah,
Yeah, I will tell you that even though it's in our building, Captain Walter, his building, we don't actually run this room, it's run by headquarters.
Okay.
So we actually, if I wanted to do something, I have to schedule something, but I do know that there is regularly
Yeah.
quite a few
Yeah.
meetings that occur in here, trainings.
Okay.
because I emailed Eric Roby the very next morning to see,
Cheese
and
and
he
wine
said
parties.
the only day available would have been Tuesday, and I don't think the council people meet then anyway.
Thank
so-
you.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, we can
I
meet
got
and have mines during the day.
I also brought Corporal Basilone from the midnight shift, because I know not all things happen just on my shift, which is 412. Is there anything that anybody would like to address about evening, midnights? Yes.
No, this is not for evening or midnight, or I guess it could be. I was really concerned, I was over near the recreational center these past 2 weeks off of Gateway Drive. I know the last meeting I attended, there were 2 townhouses that had been burned. And I noticed that, they're still there, there's still, nothing has been moved away, torn down. And across from there, near the recreation center, there are a lot of people living in the woods. And I'm just wondering, what are your laws regarding, people just like living on public property and.
If it's public property, a lot of times,
Yeah.
we're kind of hands are tied if it's, but I don't think that what you're talking about is, you're talking about the woods between like,
The recreation center off Gateway
but
Drive.
doesn't that go back to like the, yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought, it goes back to like the BBX, there's like the liquor store, cause I know like a lot of people traverse through there. I know we had dealt with that once before, I can absolutely look into it. 2 separate issues, the fire, that's fire marshal's office, and they do what they're gonna do. And I'm sure the county has, from, I would imagine.
But there are a
something
number of
deals with that.
people that are living in the woods, right next to, near the recreation center. And there's, and people are literally living in those woods.
Yeah.
And I know at one time we did have someone on 40, a group of people that stayed there for about a month out of their car. And it's always just an eyesore, and also it's just, you just don't know what's going on there, whether they're gonna set fire, people are doing drugs, or it's, it's a problem, and it's not a good look. We're trying to build up our community to have,
agree.
homeless people just, in the woods. And it's like, my concern is that if you look at places like California and LA, well, it started out like that. Few people here, there, there's camping out, this or that, and nothing was really done about it. And so now it's totally out of control. We really don't want that. We really don't want that.
I understand. I'm just shooting myself an email, I'm gonna look up do some research and like check that actual, like where they're staying. And I'll look
Yeah,
up
they're
some,
right in the woods, right next to the recreation center.
right, no, I understand, I just wanna,
And
see
there are
if
a
it's
number
private
of them
property,
in
public
and out.
property, and
It's
see
like
what
it's
laws
a little
pertain to
community
that.
right there.
Last time we checked, it was private property belonged to that apartment complex.
See, I thought so
Not
too.
apartment, but the condo.
We're talking about, it goes out to like Edgewood Road or 40, you can get out.
This is the same street as the recreation center.
Your Brookside Drive?
That wooded area is there. You
Right,
have
and I think
a
it backs
number
up
of
to,
people there
So
there.
the private,
living in those woods.
the problem with private property is a lot of times we have to get the owner of that property to be the one to want to enforce that. Usually, generally, if we find out who the owner is, we would make contact with them and say, hey, look, so-and-so's owner of the property, what do you want to do about it? And you'd be surprised at how many times we go out there and they're like, oh, they're okay, they've been here for so-and-so time. And then we walk away.
No, that's not private property.
Well, that's what,
right.
like, Lieutenant Petrosino said, we'll look into that for sure.
And the other thing that I know is that, I lived in Baltimore for 20 years, and I remember that, I know you've heard about the squeegee boys in Baltimore, different things happen. Well, it used to be a small number of these young men, on the corners, cleaning, your front windshield if you want, if you didn't want it. And nobody paying attention to it. And it's to the point now, it's totally out of control. Now, I've seen 2 squeegee boys right on 40 in Edgewood. And I was like, what? And, I was going to a meeting and this were pulling me over and I said, what are they doing? And they had these little squidgy things in their hand. And I went down to the next area, there were two there. And I'm saying like, if we don't stop it now, I'm telling you, this is how it started in Baltimore, on, a few little boys here, there on the corner, and next thing you know, you got a couple hundred guys that run the inner harbor, and nothing was done about it, and now, when somebody's gotten killed, now people are concerned about what we should do. But I'm just thinking that we need to address those issues as they come up. That is much easier to deal with them when you just have a few people doing it. But if these other guys see somebody else doing it, then they're gonna come out and do it, and they're gonna do it.
Did you say
Everybody's gonna
along
try to
Route
make some
40?
extra change.
You said along Route 40?
Yeah, it was Route 40 right there near the Sam's Deli. What's
Yes.
that street?
Are they out in the roadway?
Huh?
They're out in the roadway, correct?
Well, right on
Yeah,
the-
they were
right
there
on
on
the-
that corner, right across from McDonald's.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is minor stuff, sort of, but and I don't know, Danny, you might be able to speak to this too. But during the at Copenhagen Park during the football games that are up there, there tends to be a lot of traffic that parks up the roads right around there, and there's one spot in particular, a couple on the streets like Garnett, Foster Knoll, where people are parking really, really close to the intersection, like too close to the intersection, to the point where you can't see and turn left safely. By the time you can see safely, you're out in the middle of the intersection. And I don't know, I'm not looking necessarily for ticket enforcement or anything, but like if we could.
Does the rec council, is that rec?
This is public streets.
No, Copenhagen Park,
That's Hartford County Parks and Rec, Joppatowne Rec Council.
okay.
The football program plays there.
Well, I'm sorry,
We
which
have
program?
huge crowds.
I didn't hear you, which program?
The Joppatowne Seahawks youth football program plays
Okay,
there.
all right.
We have huge crowds, and I've spoken to Dion a couple of times about the traffic there. It's a double blind curve coming to the bottom where the park actually sits. I've been down there, we've had a number of accidents over the years there, and the traffic is going much higher than rate of speed. So that whole area on game days becomes a mess because people don't care where they're parking. They will park exactly what Adam says, they'll park on the corners. I put out cones, and I cone that whole roadway off every game day, way up one direction, so that as you're coming, before you even get near Copenhagen and the blind curve, you've got cones in the road hoping to slow people down.
Right.
I was hoping to get, had spoken again to Dion about trying to get highways out there to look at putting speed reduction devices in. And no parking signs on the corners of the streets like Foster Knoll and Garnett to try and keep those cars, again, that 15 feet away from the corner that they should be. It doesn't mean they're going to do anything. Of course, people will park wherever they want to park anymore.
What I was gonna suggest is, I can reach out to Parks and Rec, because this isn't isolated, like during games, right? Not everyday issue,
This is isolated only on game days, correct?
only on game days.
Well, except for the parking, that could be, like, if people are parking within 30 feet of an intersection, there's a reason that's in the code.
Yeah, those are general things. I'm just talking about, because that's what we were talking about, was initially game.
I mean, it certainly happens then. I'm not saying that behavior is limited to game days.
No, I understand people are gonna do that regardless,
Yeah.
but probably more importantly on game days, because people crossing the street and stuff like that, there's a higher volume of pedestrians.
Right, and it's super important for the pedestrians, but I'm telling you, just if you're not even going to the park, if you're up above the park, if you're coming off of Garnett and you're making a left onto Trimble Road, you cannot see cross traffic coming down the road unless you're in the middle of the street. So
I
you
understand.
basically
Are
have
we
to.
talking about game day, or are we talking about just in general?
It happens on game day every time there is a game day, but
Sure.
anytime somebody's parking there, and the problem is, like, it's in the code, you can't park within 30 feet of an intersection, but people still are, and so when people are parking there, that's the reason that you're getting a bunch of
Okay, so two separate things. One, we can obviously, I can have a postcard go down there and just say, hey, randomly enforce that, that general intersection on any given day. But not more importantly, but I think
No,
pedestrians,
absolutely.
during football, people trying to traverse across that road, I could reach out to Parks and Rec, and maybe we can work on seeing if we can get a deputy assigned there during those events, which would be helpful to actually just put a radio car
2 minutes
there, period.
for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I know I don't mean to go.
No.
Trust me.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
People are concerned.
So what we could do is that I also ask I'll ask them like just to put cones at I know you're coning like the roadway up this, you're putting them in the center, right?
In the center, yeah.
So I've seen that, so as you're coming around heading towards, I guess it would be Joppa Farm, there's cones starting way up and you kind of come through. Really just drop 2 cones at that intersection where people are parking. So if there's no cars there parked, just drop the cone so it's within the 30 feet. Does that make sense? Helping that. I know people are still flying down there, so I can have guys give special attention on, what is it, Saturdays?
Saturdays, correct.
Saturdays, just some special attention there for traffic enforcement or step outs or whatever that might be. Are you part of the?
Do you have their game schedule available when they have home games? I mean, I don't know, maybe there'd be a
Well,
benefit to
I've
send it to them.
I've got the 14th, and then the following week are the only 2 weeks we have left. So the 14th is homecoming. That game is that's gonna be a really big weekend.
Yeah, the 14th is gonna be.
14th, what was the other day? I'm sorry.
And then the following Saturday, we only have 2 games. It's not gonna be as crowded as our normal game day. But the 14th homecoming is gonna be mobbed.
Okay. Okay. I'll ask for extra enforcement down there during that, but this is something we're gonna have to visit for next year. Over and over, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay, all right, sorry to go over.
Okay. Last question.
Yeah, I think, do you guys know how to set it up?
I don't.
We got one more question.
Yes, I'm sorry.
My question is, living in neighborhoods, how do we know what's going on in our neighborhood? There was an incident, I live in the, on 40 in, Oakland and Joppatowne. There was an incident that just occurred, I wanna say earlier in the week, where someone was arrested, police were out, guns were drawn, and no one knows what happened. I tried to find it on the police blotter, and it's not on there.
The sheriff's office, you can go to hartfordcountysheriff.org, or follow us on, Facebook, Twitter. We're very good with putting out, I think anybody that follows the sheriff's office knows, we're like a 13-year-old kid with.
I did not see it on there, I mean, did you see it?
So it's probably either I know to you it may have appeared to be a major event, but might have been something that was not even notable, for us to say, hey, put something out.
When the guns are drawn in our community?
Well, generally it's like.
It's a very broad statement, like, what does that mean, you know?
Well, there was an officer standing on the sidewalk with his rifle.
When the community's
that's-
when the community's at risk is kind of generally where we put those kind of statements out.
I mean, my front door was open except for the glass, and I was in the basement. I mean, it was locked, of course, but I mean, are you looking for somebody? Somebody potentially might run up in my house. I need to shut the door and lock it. I mean, I just would like to be more informed. I mean, I will check out. I looked at the bottom. I did. I could not find it. I searched and I searched.
Well, generally, if it's a active evolving scene, we're gonna send deputies knocking on your doors, trying to make contact with you. We'll have our dispatch center try to call you if there's prior calls for service. We're gonna take every step that we can to notify you if there's immediate danger and threat that we feel that you need to be notified right then and there. Does that make sense to you? I will literally send guys knocking on doors. Lieutenant Fletcher the same thing, and we will get the word out to the immediate area where there may be a threat. Like the lieutenant said, larger scale incidents are documented on Facebook, social media, Instagram, Twitter, things of that nature. But if it's not if we can contain the incident, or if we can resolve, it may be a critical incident from the start, but we may be able to resolve it within minutes. And by the time we notify the public, it's already done, if that makes sense. And there's no risk at that point.
Actually, we'll start to run over. The sheriffs are usually here at the back, so if you wanna.
Yeah, if you wanna talk about something after the meeting, that's fine. and I can, help you with, the social media stuff. It does go back to the reverse 911, what he's talking about, which is where we put a call out into the neighborhood. You get a text, you get, we geo-fence an area and drop a message saying, shelter in your home, or we're dealing with a police incident right now, those kind of things. But not all are gonna make it on there because like we said, they develop really quick and they end really quick. Though it doesn't, I get that it doesn't look right, we're walking down the street with a rifle.
Not when you have fugitives on the run, I mean, that's kinda scary.
No, that would be something that we would probably say, shelter in place, you are in danger, those kind of things. Alright, so if you guys have any other questions after the meeting, I'm more than happy to answer them. I just don't wanna, cause I definitely went over. And I apologize for that, guys. Yeah.
Now, would you say we need to screen down, do you have a PowerPoint presentation? Jacob, you have a PowerPoint presentation?
I do, ma'am, yes.
It should drop down in front.
Alright, give it just a second till we get the screen down. Jacob, you wanna come up? This is Jacob Benson, who's gonna give us some information about historical preservation in our area. Those are the ones that are in the screen.
You're gonna need a chair. There you go. There you go.
Adam tripped over his own cord.
Yeah, I did.
You know you're gonna need a chair.
All I can see is Jansen.
Oh, no, and I don't wanna do that.
Paul, 20 minutes for him or 10?
Yeah.
Which?
Just back up against yeah, you're good.
Oh, yeah.
And then Vicki is gonna be real quick, she's gonna tell us about the Woodbridge Festival.
Okay. He's on the clock, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Hey, that wasn't part of y'all 6 months training and learning Monday?
I wish it was, trust me.
Do you need this on?
In a second, we have to get logged in.
Okay.
This is the first time I've even seen it.
We didn't usually get this, but while we was out for the
Not even sure I can turn it on.
You want to get on my back?
I didn't see it last night.
I'll get on all fours. You can stand on my back.
Well, I just don't see a button.
Oh,
I could stand on the chair.
probably have a remote.
Yeah,
To call in to get it.
It's a new projector.
Probably need a remote. The one I had only worked on the remote. It didn't have on off button. He's calling to get it so he can sign it. The level of security.
Another thing that could be done better in a different place. It's just remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, why isn't the market That's what community is.
Edgewood's community center. Edgewood Senior Center.
You think you can figure out how to use that one, I guess?
Oh, I'll give it a shot.
Maybe? I don't know. Is it a button?
Careful.
I think this is the new projector. I don't see a button.
Is there a remote?
Say, hey, here are the events for the
One back there.
and we'll give you.
Hey, here's the remote right here.
Is this the remote?
No, that's the point.
That's the pointer.
There's a switch, but I think that's the overall power.
Show them how to do that thing.
Yeah, right, like I can reach. Come on
I see an orange button on the front.
It's not a button. I think that might be the receiver for the infrared signal for
Oh, okay.
the remote, but I'll give it a shot again.
Well, Jacob, you might have to wing it.
Oh, hey, wait, that looks like a button. Hey, I found the button.
You found it.
Just saying, I know where the button is on the projector at the Joppatowne Christian Church building where there's live streaming equipment.
Where was it on the side?
Yeah, it's on the side, facing us. Yep. Almost looks like you could lift it out and it would be the remote, doesn't it? The way that it's blocked out.
Yeah, maybe.
Looks like it's slides now.
You have a flash drive, I guess?
I do, yes. Now the question is, which one of these can come?
17 minutes.
Well, definitely not HDMI one.
It's 21 sides.
That's that.
That's, I think, the Wi-Fi. They installed that.
You shouldn't have to get up on a chair every time you want to turn that thing on. Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, and they're all underneath.
All right, Paula, since we're already running behind and they don't have this ready, can they move forward with the next thing and then come back to them?
Okay, can I put you on hold for a minute?
That's fine.
Vicky? You're up. Right. You're welcome. This is Vicky Vance, and she's gonna give us some information about the new Woodbridge Clinic that opened up. That we've had a bunch of people ask about.
Great. At the Woodbridge Health Department area. They have been gracious enough to let us use 2 rooms over there, 2 exam rooms. We have a physician nurse practitioner over there on Mondays, every Monday from 10 to 2. We do ask that people register, call and register for an appointment. However, we are accepting walk-ins, and I would say that the majority of our patients thus far have been walk-ins. Please spread the word. We are certainly underutilized at this point in time. We've seen about 50 patients, and we will see anyone for any reason, with the exception of an urgent care or emergency. Just recently, the last 2 weeks, we've actually had 911 calls where we've had to, we've seen patients have walked in and needed to go to the emergency room. So we are well prepared to handle whatever walks through the door. However, we are there really as a primary care doctor, so you're like your family doctor, somebody that you would see on a regular basis. If you had high blood pressure, diabetes, that kind of thing. We see kids, we see people 18 and above. We do not see children. I just had a meeting today to discuss that in hopes that one day we will be able to add pediatrics to the clinic as well. But I am going to leave these flyers and really encourage you to get people to the clinic. It is there. We are waiting for people to come in and be seen. And not only do we see them, we don't have, we will accept insurance. We do not collect any money that day. Like I said, anyone can come. We have interpreters, so that if we have somebody that comes in and does not speak English, we will address that as well. So I encourage you to get folks over there that that need some assistance, as well as we will try to then get them connected with a permanent physician or a permanent clinician. So we aren't looking to keep them. We will see them numerous times or forever, how long it takes before we can sort of get them with a regular doctor. It is a constant conversation with Upper Chesapeake. As far as getting providers over here on a regular basis. So this is our beginning. When, I don't know if you've all been here a while, when Dr. Lopresti and Command left that area, outgrew their spot, that was a big loss to this area. So we are building up in Aberdeen, obviously. The new hospital will open shortly, February, I believe, and so we will have plenty of services, and do currently have plenty of services there, but we are really want to have something on this, further down. So this is our beginning stage. I literally was in the office today with the VP trying to encourage pediatrics. So we are certainly looking to go in that direction, but it won't be this year. But
You're in back of the Aberdeen Proving Ground, the Federal Credit Union, right?
Yes,
Right.
right at the Woodbridge, next to the, Community Action Agency. It's the health department, they have 4 exam rooms in there, and we're using 2 on Monday, so I encourage you, so I don't know if you wanna hand these out, anybody wants to take one, please send them our way. Yes, ma'am.
What is your, do you do things such as, like when you go to most urgent care places and things of that nature, they're limited as to what they can do, you're full service? Do you do like x-rays, can you do MRIs?
No. We will do blood work, we will draw blood work, we will do a few things, wound care, you know, if somebody comes in with a wound, we've had people come from, that have been discharged from the hospital that we will see that need to have wound care done. We do draw blood there, we will give back, you know, flu vaccinations there. If we can't do it, the niceness is that we're with the health department, that's where their immunization office is there. So we are, that's really what we want, is like we can partner. They have a social worker that they make sure is there every Monday, so if we have some difficult cases where people need other kinds of things, food, housing, whatever, that social worker is there and is there with us, you know, working, so we can work collaboratively together and try to meet the needs of the people that are coming into the clinic.
So did you say you give flu shots?
We do give flu
Do
shots
you
over there.
do pandemic shot?
We are not giving COVID, however, the health department does, and that is where they give it. And I just spoke to them the other day, cause I had somebody looking for, didn't have any insurance. They should be getting the new vaccine, momentarily, and they will be giving it, anybody that doesn't have insurance, they'll give, the COVID vaccine there, so.
Write prescriptions.
We do write prescriptions, yep. We don't fill there, we'll have to send you, you know, they will write an order if you need an x-ray, if you need a CAT scan, if you need that, they will write the order. It's just that we don't have that, they don't have that, capability there. So it would be that we'd either send you to the hospital or, radiology somewhere, you know, whatever. But whatever, you know, you have going on that you need assistance with, we are there to manage. So we've got at least one nurse there, and like I said, the nurse practitioner or the physician is there. So,
Okay, thank you.
I'm leaving, there's other, you know, we do so much in the community, and there's so much opportunity, and you all belong to different organizations, and if you're looking for anything in particular with regards to what we can do for you in providing services, this will give you some idea of what we do. We do a lot of educational classes for diabetes and for chronic disease. We're happy to run them wherever we possibly can. And I think one of the other things I really want to mention is, if you're not aware, we have a Walk with the Doc program that is at Magnolia Elementary School the every fourth Saturday at 10 a.m. You don't have to register, you don't have to, just show up with your tennis shoes. There is always a physician there to talk about a particular topic for about 10 minutes, and then everybody takes a walk together, and the physician is there walking with you. We'll answer any questions that you have. I think the next one that we have is Dr. Harold. He is head of the Spine Institute, and he will be there on whatever, October's 25th, maybe. He will be there. We have Dr. Medulla is coming in November. She's a cardiologist for us. So please take advantage of that. Again, bring your families, bring your kids, bring your moms on walkers. We are good to have anybody. It's a flat, round opportunity to get a little exercise and be able to have a one-on-one with a physician. So,
Vicki, thank you so much.
thank you so much for your time, please, and I encourage you to send people our way. Thanks.
Watch out for it.
Okay.
Tonight we're going to talk about preserving our heritage, what historic preservation is in Harford County. And our first question is, what is historic preservation? Put simply, it is a very broad term that means for the very different ways which you can treat older places that people care about. This includes the hands-on work of repairing, restoring, and reusing older places. This is the old post office building in Bel Air that's being rehabilitated by the County Historical Society for a new museum. It can mean researching and documenting the places that matter to communities. This is an archaeological investigation of the site of the colonial port town of Joppa about 2 years ago. It can mean recognizing and celebrating the places that are important to our communities. This is the designation of the Fairview AME Church in Forest Hill as a Harford County Historic Landmark earlier this year. And it can mean considering historic places in local planning processes. For example, Hartford Next, the current master plan for Harford County, includes a chapter, Chapter 5, on the preservation of historic resources and sets goals for both the county government and the county's Historic Preservation Commission. Now that we know what historic preservation is, why do we preserve old places? The simplest reason is for history and community. Historic places offer a physical connection to those that came before us, and they make our communities unique. For example, Joppa's McComas Village Historic District, which is Hartford's latest locally protected historic area, connects us with the African American experience during the Reconstruction era following the United States Civil War. It also supports local craftspeople. Caring for older places employs local craftsmen and contributes to the local economy. While parts for modern buildings can be manufactured across the country or across the world, preservation tends to be more local. At the Gladden Farm near Rock State Park, stone for the new additions was quarried locally, actually on the property itself, to match the historic farmhouse. It supports our small businesses. Historic preservation supports small businesses and local heritage tourism. A study conducted by Main Street America found that in 2022, 11,000 buildings nationwide were rehabilitated in older commercial districts, which created 30,000 new jobs and 7,600 new businesses. Picture here, of course, is of Havre de Grace's Washington Street, which is part of the city of Havre de Grace's Main Street community. It also helps protect our environment. Preserving and reusing older buildings protects not just a building, but the materials and energy that went into building it. Demolishing an old building and building a new one uses a lot of resources, from felling trees for lumber and the energy needed to transport and mill them, to the diesel needed for construction vehicles. In this famous image on the left by New York Times photographer Eddie Hausner, the remnants of New York City's Penn Station were dumped in a New Jersey landfill after its demolition in the 1960s. On the right, Marilyn LaRue's photo shows the demolition of the Bel Air Masonic Lodge with a pile of brick and wood laying next to the building, ready to be sent to the landfill. So how do we preserve older places in Harford County? Through the local government, we have local landmarks and district designations. Some benefits of local landmark or local historic district designation include providing guidance on historic preservation best practices for exterior alterations beyond routine maintenance, access to the Harford County Historic Preservation Tax Credit, which is 10% of the project cost for rehabilitation work, with a maximum credit of $7,500 per credit. You may also apply for state tax credits too, if you're designated locally. And the property is permanently protected through our program.
What do you mean by permanently protected?
I mean that any alterations to the exterior of the building would require guidance from the county's Historic Preservation Commission before they could be undertaken.
So it's on their deed, a deed restriction?
It is through the zoning code. It is not through the land records. It is actually part of the county zoning code.
Okay.
And is kept on an official map, just like the zoning districts are.
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
Is there, what qualifies, a building or area to be considered to fall under here?
So there's a lot of different ways. The sort of default is that a building should be 50 years or older. It can be important because of a person that has lived there. It can be important because of an event that has occurred there. It can be important because it's part of the overall community, or it's important to a community. The example of the church, Fairview AME Church, that church is very important to the surrounding community in Forest Hill, or the McComas Village Historic District is very important to the history and community of Joppa.
Isn't there one in, Churchville, a church?
There is, Churchville Presbyterian Church is a county landmark, yes.
My grandparents own that church. My aunt sold it to the pastor that's there now, and they did some renovations. And that's when I found out about it was a historical, landmark, that church.
Oh, yes, Asbury Church, yes.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Right, my grandparents owned that church. And my aunt had sold it to the pastor that's currently there now.
Mhm.
And, that's when we found out that it was a historical landmark. I'm like, wow, this is interesting.
And actually, that segues real well into the next question, which is how does a property become a landmark? The first step is a nomination. Anyone can nominate the property. The requirement, though, is before it can be reviewed by the Historic Preservation Commission, the next step is the owner of the property, if they're not the applicant, must consent to the designation. It's then reviewed by the Hartford County Historic Preservation Commission at a public meeting. A sign is posted, just like we would do for any other zoning, issue. A sign is posted to alert people of the upcoming community meeting. The Preservation Commission meets the first Wednesday of every month at the Hartford County Administrative Building in Bel Air, 220 South Main Street. The next meeting, the October meeting, is actually coming up in 2 days. It's this Wednesday at 7 p.m. We don't have any new landmarks that we're looking at this month, though, unfortunately. After the commission reviews, they make a recommendation. If they recommend that the property or district be designated locally, a resolution is written and presented to the Hartford County Council, who then makes the final vote to officially designate the property as either a Hartford County Historic Landmark, or if it's multiple properties, a Hartford County Historic District. Getting into the question, going back to the question a little bit about what does it mean to be permanently protected. One of the benefits of becoming a county historic landmark, part of a county historic district, is that exterior alterations to the building require a review, which we call a certificate of appropriateness from the county's Historic Preservation Commission. And they do so using a set of guidelines, the Hartford County Historic Preservation Design Guidelines, which are best practices for historic preservation in our county. As I said, they're what must be followed in making alterations to a designated property. They're available digitally through the county's website, and they are also available in hard copy at all branches of the Hartford County Public Library, the County Historical Society in Bel Air, and of course the Planning and Zoning Office at 220 South Main Street. Our guidelines were actually recently updated, about a year ago almost now, to include more information about sustainability and historic preservation, and to clarify how historic districts are nominated in our county. Here are some examples of selected landmarks within the Joppatowne, Edgewood area. Of course, at the top left, we have the Franklinville Road Iron Bridge. In the middle there, you have the Rumsey Mansion, which is actually part of the Old Joppa Historic District, which is one of 2 historic districts in the county. This one includes the mansion property and the adjoining church property, and covers the majority of the colonial port town of Joppa, which is now an archaeological site beneath the lawns of the 2 current buildings. On the upper right there is the Denbytown Church in Denbytown. It's one of the few remaining historic buildings from the historic village of Denbytown. And then on the bottom is another part of our historic district. This is the McComas Institute, which is part of the recently designated McComas Village Historic District. That district consists of the McComas Institute, Graveyard, and the adjacent Mount Zion, former Mount Zion United Methodist Church. This was recently designated, the Institute had been designated individually in the 1980s. The Hosanna Community Foundation, community house that owns the properties currently, asked for the designation to be expanded into a district to incorporate the former Mount Zion Church. Since they have those 2 buildings have a long history, they're very well interconnected into the community and into the Reconstruction era. In addition to the county programs, we have the National Register of Historic Places. That one is not administered by Hartford County government. It's actually administered by the National Park Service at the federal level and the Maryland Historical Trust at the state level. These properties, which are listed on the National Register, meet the national standards for architectural, historical, or cultural importance. They make available state and federal tax credits to designate listed properties. These properties are not protected from demolition, however. That is a point that is confusing, I believe, to a lot of people. People will say, oh, I see this property is listed on the National Register, that means you can't tear it down. That's not true. If a property is listed on the National Register, it means that it is important, that it has met those standards, it's possible for it to get tax credits, and that for federally funded projects, they must note any effects that the project will have on a National Register listed property in the area. But it does not prevent demolition or additions or alterations to the exterior.
Oh, I have it.
Which is the difference between the National Register and the county's historic landmarks, where there is the requirement that alterations be made to meet our design guidelines and be made in cooperation with the Preservation Commission's guidance. We also have the Maryland Inventory of Historic Properties, which is a statewide program administered by the Maryland Historical Trust. This is a fairly basic program. It is for the documentation of a property's history and architecture. Not eligible for tax credits just for documentation. You also have to meet one of the other standards, county or state or National Register. There are currently about 2,500 documented sites in Hartford County overall. And again, there's no protections on properties. Just because they're documented for the Maryland inventory does not mean that there is any kind of restriction or protection on the property. So you may be asking yourself, how can I help protect Hartford's history? Well, one thing you can do is to document the history of your family, your community, your church, your school, your business, anything. And make sure that it's written down, recorded, oral histories, and placed somewhere safe. If it's for church, placed within the church. If it's for your family, put it in your will to pass it down. You can also, of course, donate written and recorded histories to our county's historical society in Bel Air and to the more local historical societies depending on where you are. You can apply for county historic landmark designation or county historic district designation for your own property or with the consent of the owner of another property that you think is important. And of course, you can share this information. Tell your friends and family about historic preservation and why it's important. I handed out for everyone tonight a copy of our brochure that's also available online, and I have copies of it available, at least I had sent them out, hopefully they're all there still, at all the branch libraries and at the Historical Society in Bel Air and the county government offices. And one other way, of course, you can help is that coming up in May of 2024, we'll be celebrating Historic Preservation Month. This year, we are going to be doing a program that we are hoping to call This Place Matters. We might change the name, we're not 100% yet. But it's going to be showing off the places that are important to you by taking photographs with a sign, whether it says This Place Matters, Hartford County Loves History, something along those lines, and we'll be sharing them through social media. More information will be available on this program in early 2024. And again, my information is on the back of the brochure. I also have business cards if somebody would like it in that format, but I'm always available to help. If you have any questions about historic preservation or history in our community, my email and direct telephone number are there. And of course, I can take any questions right now.
Hi, so the one for Denbytown, that one stuck out to me. In particular, I know the people that currently own that church.
Yes.
And it seems to be going deserted. We wanted to do some community events there to try to help it. For what was the reason that it was on here? Just because it's an older building?
So the Denbytown Church was designated quite a while ago. It's at least 10 years, if not longer. It was designated, first of all, because of its age. It is over 50 years. But it is also one of the remaining buildings from the original village of Denbytown. Denbytown was founded around the time of the First World War, when the military purchased the property that would become Aberdeen Proving Ground and Edgewood Arsenal. They removed all of the people that were living or working in that area. For the people who were the property owners, the large farm owners, they received monetary compensation from the government. For the people who were tenant farmers or renters, they received nothing from the government. And some of those people who had been tenant farmers who had worked land there moved to this area that would become Denbytown and formed a community there. And the community since has dispersed through the county in the ensuing 100 years. And really all that's left to memorialize that particular time period is this church. And it was built around that time, about the 1920s.
Jacob, thank you so much.
You're welcome, thank you.
Yep, very interesting. Okay, we're gonna continue. I am gonna ask that for the remainder.
Council highlights, which are all the meetings of September, and all the votes that were taken, and all the resolutions and bills, so if you could agree with that, and have another one on that.
I have a question.
Yeah, yes.
Is there a reason that the public hearing for the 3 bills that's going on tonight was done on the day that 3 of the neighborhoods that are represented here are meeting?
I don't know.
Do you represent the Harford County Council?
Yes.
Okay, it was a meeting scheduled by the Harford County Council, correct? County Council President Patrick Vincenti scheduled the meeting, the public hearing?
I'm not sure if it was he or our administrator.
Okay, so we have an ongoing neighborhood community meeting the first Monday of every month.
Right.
And I understand that the council meets on Tuesdays and they didn't want to have this public hearing at the same time, but why did it have to be scheduled the first Monday of the month?
If you give me a contact, I'll research it for you.
I'm sure the chair can handle that. That's fine.
Excuse me?
The chair, I'm on the board, but Paul is the chair. If Mr. Vincenti would want to reach out to the chair to figure out why.
Well, I'll be glad to research it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Just give me a contact.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out how to go to 2 places at one time. We really did want to do that too.
And it's difficult for us to reschedule here, because like I said, when Adam, asked about the availability here, we thought we'd try next Monday, but there's another club that meets here, and then the council meets on Tuesday, so we wouldn't have our council people here then either. So yeah, it seems to me that Adam is right, they could have done this hearing or whatever on a Tuesday when they normally meet, rather than interfering with, because there are a lot of people that are not here tonight because they want to go to that hearing. And that includes all of our council people, our delegates, some of them here.
Yeah,
So,
and having
and some of our board members, so.
and having a public meeting for 3 bills at one time, that, we're just not.
I'll check for you.
Thank you.
Find out why it was scheduled.
It's too late.
No, but
Hey, we know it's not your fault. We know it's not.
We like you.
But it would be interesting to find out why, because it does.
I will check.
Yeah, I appreciate that. With that, Lenora, you're up. Ron's not here. Yeah, so. Andre's not here.
It's gonna be a short meeting.
I may share a corner of this table?
Yes.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Charge too much.
Good evening, everyone. The county executive is providing lots of information from the county. The information, as always, you can find on our website. There is a newsletter for October topics. Harford County has always been a generous community, and our spirit of giving is going strong. Thanks to everyone who made the Harford United Charities Benefit Gala and Harford 250 celebration a great success. With your help, we raised a total of $48,000 for local charities, helping local families and veterans in need. I think that stands for a round of applause coming from us. If you go on Facebook, you'll be able to see that particular activity. Tire recycling will be October the 9th through the 13th. The county executive wants us to help keep used tires out of the county landfill. Harford County residents can drop off up to 10 tires on or off the rim for free. Recycling is from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday, October the 9th, October 13th, at our Harford Waste Disposable Center, 3241 Scarborough Road in Street. Passengers and light truck tires only. Driver's license as proof of residency is required. One trip per resident. So you might want to get together with your neighbor, use a truck, and make that one special trip. We want everyone to be prepared. Wednesday is October the 11th to the 21st. Are you prepared to keep yourself and your loved ones safe in an emergency? Prepare because you care is Harford County's hands-on safety preparedness class for citizens to learn fire safety and crime prevention and life-saving skills like CPR, stop the blood, and how to use an AED. The next 4-week program will be held 7 to 9 p.m. every Wednesday from October the 11th to the 21st. The program is free, but space is limited. Do reserve your spot today. You may go to the Harford County website at www.harfordcountymd.gov/ put in prepare because you care. Veterans Family Resource Fair is going to be on a Saturday, October 21st. Local veterans, all military, and their families are welcome to this one-stop event for information about veterans, healthcare, benefits, printed guides to resources and local businesses that offer veterans discounts, and much more. Harford County veterans can also enter a drawing for 2 Ravens versus Steelers tickets. Let me repeat that. Harford County veterans can also enter a drawing for 2 Ravens versus Steelers tickets or 1 $850 gift card courtesy of APG Federal Credit Union. A free lunch will be provided. That's going to be catered by Mission Barbecue. Free transportation can be reserved from Edgewood and Joppa just by calling 443-966-4518. That's transportation can be reserved from Edgewood and Joppatowne by calling 443-966-4518. This year's fair will be held 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Bel Air Armory, 37 North Main Street. We hope to see you there. Shine the Light Overdose Awareness Vigil. That will be October the 7th. Addiction has brought heartbreak to families in every corner of Harford County and our nation. On Saturday, October the 7th, we will remember loved ones lost and celebrate those in recovery at the Shine the Light Overdose Awareness Vigil. Doors will open at 6:15 p.m. at Mount Zion Church, 1643 Churchville Road, in Bel Air. Names and photos of individuals for the memorial presentation should be emailed to purge9@gmail.com. That's P like in Paul, R like in red, U like an umbrella, N like in Nancy, G like in George, E like in eagle, the number 9@gmail.com. Prescription Drug Take-Back Day is October the 28th. Prescription Drug Take-Back Day is October 28th. Unused prescription medications can fall into the wrong hands and harm our environment if they're not disposed of properly. Harford County's next Prescription Drug Take-Back Day is Saturday, October 28th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at various county locations, including our county administration building located at 220 South Main Street in Bel Air. With your help, this event, held in partnership with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration and local law enforcement, will allow us to keep harmful medication out of circulation. Watch Harford's TV, Inside Harford County, Department of Public Works. That is on October the 9th. Harford County Public Works Director and I, which is not myself, will join the host of Mark Bernetti this month on Inside Harford County for how we build and maintain infrastructure you rely on every day. Call us with any questions during the live program at 410-638-3894. Inside Harford County is Harford TV's half-hour community affairs program, airing live 7 p.m. on Wednesday, which the dates regretfully has passed, which would have been September the 6th. October has what they call a Socktober. Donation drive benefits Harford's veterans and the homeless individual. Warm socks, mittens, and hats. Warm socks, clean warm socks. And mittens and hats are greatly needed items for veterans and homeless individuals, but they're still the least often donated. To fill the gap, the administration is joining with Harford County Public Library and nonprofit We Can Serve to collect items for local veterans and citizens in need. Collection boxes can be found for the Socktober drive, which is going to be at the library branches throughout Harford County. You can also go to the county government building to make any contributions. For more information, please look at the website, which is https, that's /www.harfordcounty.md.gov/2094 Socktober. You heard me mention about Harford County Veterans Family Resources, which is going to be on a Saturday, October 21st. Again, the Ravens and Steelers will have ticket giveaways. There's going to be free barbecue at lunch, and the food is delicious. I go every year. We're celebrating those who have defended our nation. Harford County will host this resource fair for veterans, active duty military, and their families from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, October 21st. If no one knows that, the county executive is continuously looking for ways to support our veterans, people that actually protected our country. It affects each and every one of us here, so please support that event. It's free. We do this annually, and you can get a lot of resource information there. They have the giveaways. They will having drawings for the 2 tickets that I mentioned, and there will be face painting. Where's my little people? the kids. We have face painting will be available for the kids. So make sure that someone brings you, mom, dad, papa, or next door neighbor, okay? There's also going to be free transportation to this event from Edgewood and Joppatowne. It will be available upon request. You may call 443-966-4518. That's all the information I do have for everyone here from the county. I could give you information about the agenda for October 21st, but we certainly want you to attend. It starts promptly at 10 a.m. I don't know how many of us in the room remember Captain Jim, but this is a beautiful program for our veterans. They're going to have the opening ceremony with the color guards. You'll have remarks by our county executive. There probably will be someone singing who will not be myself to do that, but we do have a wonderful time there today. So I hope to see everyone here in attendance. You have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie, you have something from Dion?
I do, can I just stay
Yeah,
seated?
go ahead, because it would be his turn.
Okay, so first off, we have the handout. If anyone didn't get it, we have a couple extras. He wanted me to draw your attention to the second item on the first page. Tourism around the county. Councilman Guthrie would like to see, his proposal is to take half of the tax raised by, gathered by hotels in District A, which there's 9 hotels. Half of that money, which would be about $340,000, stay in District A for tourism projects and needed. And the other half of that, so that another $340,000 would go into the general pot then for tourism. And he's asking for everyone here in District A to be supportive and lend your support. And the public hearing will be on Tuesday, October 17th at 6:45 in the council chambers. So that was very important. The other important item is he has a legislative initiative, and Mr. John is here to talk about that for a few minutes.
All right, so hopefully everybody's received the bit about the rivers turning orange. Okay, so my name's Danny John. I'm the president of Joppatowne Rec Council. And Foster Branch runs through our 2 biggest parks. Runs right through the middle of Copenhagen Park, and then runs right down to Mariner Point Park. Ridgely's Reserve has polluted our waterways, and you can't believe there's almost no fish around. Copenhagen, the water has come down there through so fast that we had railroad ties down by the pond that were horseshoe pits. The water has come through there so fast it's ripped those out of the ground, they're gone. There's a bridge that crosses over the Foster Branch. The water has brushed twigs and limbs and trees up against the bridge. The water is going around the bridge and has literally eaten the base of the bridge out. You walk on that bridge right now, the bridge teeters. I'm afraid to walk across it. I've walked across it a few times, and it is scary. Copenhagen Pond, the Lions Club, and I'm a member of the Lions Club, sit on the executive board of the Lions Club. We used to stock that pond with fish and have fishing tournaments. There's nothing living in that pond currently other than turtles and the beaver. There are no longer any fish in that pond. It is the color of chocolate milk. It's terrible. My grandkids and I, we go down to Mariner, and I've had multiple people call me with issues. You go to Mariner Point, you might as well not take a fishing rod, because the sediment has killed all of the grasses that the fish and everything live in. It's killed the eggs and laid on the eggs and killed the nests of these fish. Okay? This can be seen from space. Okay? It can be seen from space. Satellites have taken images of the gunpowder being orange. That's all the little tributaries all throughout Joppatowne, okay? Everybody's houses on those tributaries right there through Joppatowne, the old port, okay? Everything is chocolate milk brown. Everything is dead, and that used to be huge. People used to come to visit our parks. They would go fishing and have an enjoyable time. They can no longer have that because Ridgely Reserve did not do what they were supposed to do. I ask everyone to please read this thoroughly, okay? We should all be fuming mad because they didn't do what they were supposed to do the way they were supposed to do it. Multiple times they have been fined, they have been shut down, and they never corrected. I'm also the president of the football program. We have a gator at Copenhagen. I have to go to the other side to clean the trash cans out. While I'm on the other side, I ride back through all that construction. I got pictures and I send them constantly over to Dion. I send them over to Terry Hanley, the Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation, and I also send them directly to Bob Castelli. They all know what's going on. I show them where the mud has washed out and created divots all down through there. The hills are sliding because they did not properly plant vegetation on there to keep it from rotting down. We should be mad, fuming mad, because they have destroyed our two greatest resources, our parks. Okay, so I'm asking everybody, if Dion comes up with something and he puts forward a bill to try and get this done, please back it. Please call Bob Castro, raise help, okay? Because I'm not against the houses. I'd love these houses to come in here, okay? We need a rec center, granted, okay? We need one bad so that the Joppatowne Rec Council can offer everything that Bel Air offers, that Fallston offers, that Havre de Grace offers, that Churchville, they have 2 rec centers. We've got nothing. I've got 8 programs in the Joppatowne Rec Council. Bel Air's got over 30 programs. Yet they're gonna drop 400 plus houses right here. They destroyed our parks by dropping these houses. Well, the least we could do is try and get a rec center down here so that we can provide for our community. Right now, Joppatowne Rec Council, Marlise is on the board with me. She can tell you, we have very little to offer because we have nothing. We are 98% reliant on the public school system for all of our space, all of our needs. We have to have our rec council meetings in the Joppatowne Lions Club because we can't get into the doggone schools to have our rec council meeting. Luckily, again, I'm a part of the board for the Lions Club. The Lions Club opens it up, we get to have our meetings in there. They love the fact that we're sharing that, and Rich Bennett, the president, also sits on my board. But we've got nothing. But we've got to protect the little we do have. We've got to protect it, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got to do it starting yesterday. So I beg you, please raise hell. Please raise hell. Thank you.
J-A-H-N. J-A-H-N.
Okay, so Aaron, of course, isn't here tonight, and Andre, so we will.
Lots of things. We have, yeah, the maps. When this meeting's over, come over here and take a look at these maps. This is the zoning for our community council. This is the Joppa Community Council, and this is the Edgewood, and now we're both. The colors are the zoning for the maps. So when you hear B3, this is your B3 section. It's dark red. The light is R1, and I can give you all the designations, what it means later. But that's gonna be important because we've got the master plan coming, comprehensive zoning coming. This is the enterprise zone. This gets the people inside the enterprise zone extra money for their workers. So that's enterprise zone. This is the Southern County Task Force area. And it also shows the zoning, but even neater, I think, is it shows that the houses, how many houses there are here, and whether they're renters own them,
Owners or renters.
thank you, owners or renters. So I have a look, after the meeting, come up and have a look, they're kinda neat.
So, Gloria,
I'm gonna piggyback something.
how did they determine, how would they determine if a house is a rental property versus a home?
I have no idea.
Because I thought at one time, that was one of the, holdbacks from the,
They may have gone and knocked on every door.
yeah.
Who knows? They spent a year doing this.
Let me piggyback on that. So, at the task force meeting, they were talking about abandoned properties and abandoned houses, whatever. I personally spoke to Roxanne Lynch, who I've known for a long time, and I said, what are you doing with the county now? And she is in charge of the licensing and permits. And she said she is designated to take care of the abandoned houses and properties. And I said, well, gee, Roxanne, would you like to come and do a presentation? She said, absolutely. So if you guys want, I'll see if I can get it for next month.
That'd be good.
Yeah, we need
And
to
she
stay
could give
focused.
us some information on how they are determining whether somebody owns it or,
Yeah,
because she's taking care of the abandoned properties.
but that's part of the Southern
Ability
County Task Force
Ability.
that we're gonna be hearing more about.
Census data is one way they get that
Census.
information about home ownership and who's renting. Census provides a lot.
Right.
Good, good.
And it's like you said, the livability
The
code.
livability code. That was
So I would
one of the
assume that
holdbacks.
Roxanne probably has that information because she's gonna be dealing with that, so.
Yeah, well, State Department of Assessments and Taxation, probably you
Hey,
could
go ahead, and then we'll pull it from.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, hey guys, so, October the 14th in Edgewood alone, we have literally 5 events going on. 5 events, if you gotta get your groceries, do it the day before. But 5 events going on, all of them are giving back to the community. The Epic Center is having their fall festival, roll down. I'm having a Pinktober, it'll be in conjunction with Crown of Life, where once a month, normally the first Saturday, but we had to push it back, we give away over 100 food boxes. And then at the Edgewood train station, that little space next to it called the bridge, we'll have hot food, we will have blood pressure check-in, walk with the doctor, screening. But this particular one is, we're giving back to women in the community, 10 families that have had breast cancer, undergone treatment of some sort, as well as their families. We will have activities for the children, for the adults, there'll be vendors there, but a lot of free engagement, exercise, things of that nature. That's my event, you can scan the QR code, I'll pass it around. Aside from that, the Action Agency will be doing Hispanic Heritage Month. They'll be doing a festival at the Action Agency. And did I mention the Epic Center yet?
Yeah.
All right, and then James and Joe Cafe in Abingdon will be doing a fall fest as well. Everything October the 14th. Our event starts at 10 a.m. The other ones start at like 12 to 6.
And what's the one in Abingdon you said again?
James and Joe Cafe, the vegan restaurant.
Oh, okay.
They'll be doing, if anybody isn't registered to vote, they'll be there, NAACP, a lot of other, for mental health, because October is also mental health month also. So we're out active in the community. If you need food, if you need help, say something. We only know if you say it.
Just real quick before, anybody have a sign-up sheet? Anybody know where the sign-up sheet is? Oh, okay.
Okay, so tonight, we were triple booked tonight, actually. We had the, county council meeting, the public hearing, but also Magnolia Middle School is trying to organize some sort of parental advisory board. Some, it's like a PTA, but I don't know if we're gonna go under the PTA thing. If anybody's interested in that, I've got information, you can talk to me. Also, in this article, if you flip to the second page, you might look and see a handsome guy over there. And also Bill's in here too, I think.
Yeah.
So the Ralph and Bill and Mike Poehler and a bunch of people from the Job Development and Heritage Corporation have been, hounding the Bay Journal, hounding the county executive, and I really feel like they've been doing a great job to put this issue forward. We are trying at the moment to schedule with the coordinator for the Southern County Task Force to see if we can get together on issues involving the environment. Maybe even trying to petition Harper County government to create a cabinet level position to be Department of the Environment so that it can advocate for citizens in regards to these. We're trying to get it scheduled for next Monday, but I haven't heard back from Jonathan Foster yet. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have the Southern County Task Force coordinator not there. So we're hoping to coordinate with him. If you want to go to joppadhc.org, we'll have information on the meeting whenever we get that scheduled. It may end up getting pushed back to later in the month, maybe in the month after.
Adam, just for clarity, today the Department of the Environment is under reports up through, there's a person, right?
There is none.
Oh, I thought there was a person, but they went through planning and zoning or something.
There are like subcommittees, but we're talking about trying to get that to cabinet level. Yeah. I'm the pastor of Joppatowne Christian Church. I don't do a ton of church announcements here, but I do like it when it goes to the whole community. So we noticed that there's going to be a Ravens game at 9:30 in the morning, which conflicts with our service. And so because of that, we've just decided, hey, let's expand our service a little bit. We'll have breakfast, and if you want to come watch the game, you can come watch the game with us. I'm preaching at halftime. And our goal is, what it is there's a bunch of people tell me all the time that I don't want to get up on Sunday morning. It's my only day to sleep in. But I know they're going to be watching that Ravens game. So if you're going to get up to watch the Ravens, you might as well come to church. So if you want to come, that's going to start at 9:30 is the kickoff. We're going to have breakfast at 8:30, but you can have breakfast during the game too. Come whenever if you want to come. And we'll have cornhole in the parking lot and stuff like that as long as the weather's permitting. Just a good community day.
When is it?
October 15th is the day. Whenever the Ravens are playing in London, we'll be watching that game. Later on that day, Town Trivia is the trivia game that I used to run. We've been having a hard time finding a place to do it. It looks like Town Grill and Pub is maybe working towards having us back. So October 15th, later that day, is going to be a trivia game. I don't have a time for that because the Orioles will hopefully be playing in Game 1 of the ALCS that day. So it might be a whole big day, but if you want to come to that, we're going to do Town Trivia that day. And then also I'm hoping to do it monthly through January. And then once we get out of football season, we're going to start going back weekly, it looks like. So that's a thing. Ralph, do you have the date for the Rumsey Island bat thing? That's October 14th.
That's October 14th.
Yeah, so
Copley Parish too.
yes, that's next. Sorry, I was trying to stay on the same weekend. October 14th, the same day as all of Melissa's events. At night, there's going to be a glow run/walk/bike. The goal is to raise money for bat houses in and around Rumsey Island. And that's great because if we increase the number of bats, it increases the number of mosquitoes that they eat. And it also prevents us from needing to put as many chemicals on grass to kill those mosquitoes, and so less chemicals go into the river. So helps everybody. So look for the Rumsey Island Residents Association for that. The next weekend at Copley Parish is going to be the Historic Festival, talking about what Mr. Benson said earlier. We have a historic festival every year to talk about the original port of Joppa from the 1700s, somewhere around there. So that's going to be happening. I'm hoping to run a Halloween decorating contest. I should be getting information out on that soon. And I mentioned here last meeting that it was possible that we're going to do the homeless shelter again. I have no idea if the Harford County Hope for the Homeless Alliance is going to rotate the shelter this year, but I keep telling them that 2 weeks is better than 0 weeks, and so we can host 2 weeks. I'm almost 100% sure that the Joppatowne Christian Church will be hosting the homeless shelter, but that doesn't mean it's a Joppatowne Christian Church thing. We rely on the whole community, and we are willing to take as many as 40, maybe 40 plus people in for those 2 weeks. We're hoping to find some other churches that are willing to do that as well. So if we can get 4 churches to do 2 weeks each, that's 2 months of the winter that people don't have to sleep outside. I'm making that pitch to other churches as well, but like I said, I can guarantee that as long as the Harford County Hope for the Homeless Alliance gives us those cots for the couple of weeks, we're going to do 2 weeks. So if you know of other churches that are looking to do that, specifically in other parts of the county, we can try to work some of that out. And if you have any questions about that, talk to me. I'm thinking that probably 1 week in January, 1 week in February for sure in Joppatowne, and then beyond that, we'll see where we go from there.
Okay. All right, anybody else? If not, then the meeting is adjourned.